to the world. Subscribe now to the Hot 97 YouTube channel. It's Ebro in the Morning with Laura Stiles and Rosenberg.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ebro, Laura Rosenberg. Back on the show, Ray for Mayor, Ray McGuire. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good. We're doing well, man. We're watching this mayor race shake out. Currently, right now, where are you ranking? About 6th or 7th in the polls? How's it going?
I don't know, man. I'm ranking where I started off, at home, ranking at the bottom, but I'm good with that. Started at the bottom, now we're here. Anybody paying much attention to those polls, man? Everybody looks at the polls and they go from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next, in fact. So I'm not worried about the polls. We
were just talking about how all over the place, the polls have been day after day. This one's in the lead, that one's in the lead. One thing I find interesting about your name when I speak to people is, there is a lack of trust because you come from the financial world. And I'd love to dig in with you about that because there's so much been made, over the years from the Wall Street crisis or whatever we termed it. What did we call that thing, Rosenberg? The financial fallout, the 2008 collapse, whatever it was.
Yeah, there you go.
And then fast forward to now, there's always an air, even when billionaires were running for president, people just didn't trust them, couldn't believe them. I would love to hear, your story, because oftentimes I feel like talking, I talk to people a lot about your wife who, her work's incredible, where you started and the fact that your mom was like, what are you doing with your life? Like you're a regular guy, but you had a lot of success.
Right.
And I don't know if that's cutting through for people.
There's this narrative of skepticism, which I get, which really doesn't apply. It shouldn't apply to me because, I started at the bottom, as I keep telling folk, and the more they hear the story about how I started out and how, when I came to the city, I had three things. I had a great education based on my mother's sacrifices. I had a lot of debt and I had no money. So I had to break down barriers, and people just don't quite understand what it requires when you look like me to break down barriers in one of the most competitive fields that exists anywhere on the planet. So I had to climb the ladder and break down barriers. I had to deal with conscious and unconscious bias. And people use the narrative in general, which is the kind of an anti-Wall Street narrative, and apply it to me, which is not the case. If I look at the things that I've been able to do for many New Yorkers, but especially Black and brown, I've got more of them trained. I got more of them jobs. I got more of them promoted. I got more of them compensated. I have created more wealth and more opportunity than all the other candidates combined. Right. So if I look at each of the categories where today we are lagging in healthcare, I've been invested in healthcare for Black and brown people, for almost 20 years. In education, De La Salle Academy, a school for, inner city, below poverty, 6th to 8th grade, Black and brown boys and girls. Or George Jackson Academy. You guys probably know my guy, George Jackson. George Jackson and Doug McHenry did New Jack City. I was there when George Jackson Academy started for, Black and brown boys, single sex school for Black and brown boys. Or you go back to Harlem School of the Arts or figure skating in Harlem that I've been involved with. So I look across the entire spectrum. I look at what I did for criminal justice, right? Art for Justice. One of the first calls that came out when they started Art for Justice was to me. Would I help support it? Or if I look at what I've done for New York Public Library, sitting on the board of New York Public Library, where you got Wi-Fi hotspots into the neighborhood so our kid can do homework because 1.5 million New Yorkers don't have Wi-Fi. So I go through the track record of the things that I've done, and I've been a private public servant, right? So this is who I am. That's what I've done is very different to who I am. So folk get confused in there. Now, the question I'd ask is, so if I were a successful entertainer or a successful athlete, would there be a different perception? The narrative is screwed up, right? And so as I think about where we are, my view is that Black and brown people have been outside for so long that when they give us crumbs, they want us to feel full. I'm not interested in the crumbs. Matter of fact, I'm interested in the cake. I want us to own the bakeries, and that's got to be the aspiration. That's got to be the goal. That's my goal, which is why I got into this thing.
Yeah, I think so. The analogy you put forth there of entertainers and athletes, I think it's only because of a level of familiarity.
Right.
I think you're a new name that we've only learned, those of us who don't know the backstory of the public library and all these things, because that as pedestrian folk, regular everyday folk, we're not seeing those headlines on a regular. And we're not seeing your name. So now we've learned your name over the last 6 to 8 months. Or some people have.
Right.
And I think, where you look at other individuals that are doing better than you in the current polls, whether it's Adams, Garcia, Yang, these are familiar names. So familiarity seems to be ringing the bell here. How do you plan over the next several weeks to, other than conversations like this one, to continue to get your name out there and to get your story out?
Ebro, I'm out every day. I'm in the libraries. I'm in the subways. I'm talking to the synagogues, the mosques, the cathedrals, been in the churches, which is home for me. Church is home for me. And, I'm out talking to the people, been talking to civic organizations everywhere. So I'm out talking to people. My word says be known by your deeds. I haven't advertised. The difference between me and the rest of them is I haven't advertised. They've advertised and got very few receipts. I've never advertised and got a whole bunch of receipts. So I'm prepared to put my track record up against all of them combined when it comes to Black and brown people. All of them. Not one of them has a track record that is remotely close to mine. Yeah, some folks have marched. I got that. I marched too. But I also helped pay for the marches, right? Go to National Action Network and ask what's up there when people had to, go and invest. So I've been there. Getting that message out is what I'm in the process of doing. I feel very confident about the things that I've contributed to our community. Very confident and quite proud of it, quite candidly. I come from, my mother's a social worker, right? As you know, worked 3 jobs. Been on scholarship since I left home at 16. Grandfather was a janitor. Grandmother was a missionary in the church. But I come from, this is me. So while I've been successful in one sphere, in one category, that don't mean I lost who I am, but I still take kids out there and cross them up and drop 3. Don't care about that.
Oh, okay. Oh, you talking basketball? Oh, you talking handles?
Come on, man.
The jumper's still wetty? Is that what you said?
No, I ain't talking about ready. Lethal, okay? don't come up on me, man. That'll be ESPN highlight. Maybe make 5 of the top 10.
No. Yo, listen, this guy's wilding now. Ray McGuire done got loose up here.
Huh?
Laura, what do you got?
Meet us at the Rucker. Ray McGuire versus New York City.
Come on, man. Take me down to West 4th Street. I go up to the pole across the street, man. What do you think I came to the city doing? Crossing kids over down at West 4th Street, Riverside.
Oh, look.
Central Park. Come on, man. What y'all talking about? Don't start like James Brown, that great 20th century philosopher said, don't start none, won't be none. What they call that? Static.
Static. Yo, my man is loose today.
Ray, you had a very popular conversation with Jay-Z, Steve Stout, and Nas, and it got a lot of mixed reviews on social media.
I think Diddy was in there too, right?
Diddy was in there too.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your relationship with them before they decided to endorse you? And I'm just curious to see if you saw some of the responses, because a lot of people were, a lot of people trusted Jay-Z and Nas, but then some people were like, why would we listen to a bunch of rich folks talking about rich things that can not possibly connect with the average New Yorker, because most of them live in LA in a mansion. They don't even live in New York. So how are they going to know about our problems?
This is another thing that I'm talking about. We need to celebrate success, right? We all started. The reason the relationship exists, the reason that they came out is because we all started at the bottom. I talked to Tai, who's Jay's guy. We talk frequently. This is a journey that we've all had, and we shouldn't discount that journey. This is about us. It ain't about me. This is about we. So when you get those guys who say, listen, we understand, I got a long-standing relationship with them, a long-standing relationship. Listen, I go back to Fat Farm when I sold Fat Farm for Russell. I was there when he cut the check up. I was there. So I go back to Jelly Bean Benitez. This goes way back. This ain't nothing new. This is how we came up in the game.
Well, I guess for the regular folks, once again, these stories, your role in these stories, this is all new information.
Right.
I think, and also remember, pedestrian folks, man, it's hard to celebrate when your ribs is touching and you don't really understand how the system's going to work in your favor. So often, and those of us that have success, we often speak over folks' heads like, yo, celebrate success. And they're like, okay, that's cool. But how's that filling up my fridge? How's that making my family safe? Tell me why I should care.
You know, because I have had a life of making sure that folks can fill up their refrigerators. Not only fill up the refrigerators, but make sure that if they want to go buy a home, they can buy a home. Talking folks through that. Young Black and brown men and women, you know, sponsors for educational opportunity. This year they had 800 and some odd Black and brown men and women. Well, I sat, and I've been doing this for years. I sat when the whole thing started, or Council of Urban Professionals, when the thing started, or Management Leaders for Tomorrow, the organizations out there that support us as we move up the ladder. And when I started out, there was nobody who I could call, man. There's nobody who I could call anywhere to say, how do I get through this? How do I deal with this conscious and unconscious bias? What do I do? And so the reason I decided to do this is because the issues that we're dealing with, the issues of healthcare, the issues of what we're doing in the economy, the issues of education, none of those issues being dealt with. COVID exposed them and exacerbated them. You know what? It costs us $26,000 a year to educate a child in New York City. You know how much it costs us to put it to take care of an inmate in Rikers Island? $450,000 a year. $446,000 a year.
Oh shit.
Okay, 26,000 versus 446,000. And you know what? Who's talking to this? I can take 10 Black and brown fourth graders. You know how many can read? 2, maybe 3. Where's the outrage? What are we doing about this? Who's speaking about this? Nobody. Where's the outrage? And who amongst the people in this race who had their chance, who's doing anything about it? Where have you heard anybody scream out about that? I go to the Bronx, District 9, them kids don't have crayons. $26,000 a year, kids ain't got crayons. How's that working for you? All the career politicians, been in the game for decades, in the office or in a position for decades. And where are we now? It ain't working.
So you get the job. You become mayor of New York City. Give us some detail on how that gets fixed.
So this is what I'm going to do. In my education plan, I'm going to start. Pre-K is good, right? But it ain't big enough. And too many of kids are behind by the time they get to pre-K. So you got to start at 0. I want to start, my plan's called Cradle to Career. I want to start at 0 to 4, make certain we have affordable child care so our moms and pops, who are the primary caregiver, can go to work, and that we got the right professionals assessing our children. All of our children are gifted and talented. Some move more slowly than others. Let's figure out where they are and get that assessment and intervene early. Then what I want to do, for my account, by the end of the 3rd grade, every child in New York City can read. Nobody gets out without being able to read and do math. And why is that? Because between 0 and the end of the 3rd grade, our children are learning to read. After that, they're reading to learn. We've lost far too many who we didn't teach how to read. Far too many.
Yeah, most of the people on Rikers can't read.
80% of the people on Rikers Island do not have a GED. 80%. Now, between 18 and 24 on Rikers Island, 1/3 of those read at the 5th grade level. Who's talking about this? Give me somebody who's talked about this. Nobody. Where's the outrage? So I want to make sure by the end of the 3rd grade, every child can read. Then I want to make sure by the 6th grade, our children have technological and digital literacy. 8th grade, they get exposed to different career opportunities. It could be vocational training, which we used to have wood shop. They become software engineers. They can become botanists or paleontologists or doctors or plumbers or painters, whatever they want to be. And I give them a summer job. They get a summer job. I had a summer
instead of 75,000 kids getting a summer job, you're gonna up the number to 150.
No. I'm everybody in the district school who wants a summer job gets a summer job, paid.
Okay.
Everybody.
Ray, take us through what happened. We all read about it when you and Yang and Donovan were up there, and you guys could not figure out what a median house would cost in Brooklyn. And you guessed $80,000 or $90,000. What exactly happened there? Because I can't imagine you actually think that about Brooklyn housing.
You know, I own it. Mistake. It was a brain freeze. I know this because I just helped somebody on my staff figure out whether or not they could buy a home in Brooklyn for less than $1 million. So yeah, I own this, man. This is, sometimes you got a brain freeze. That's what happened. Really, I know the numbers. That's what I do. That's how I made a living.
So, right? and with regard to that, what is the answer for how people can legitimately aspire to own homes in this city? It really is. It's prohibitively expensive. No reasonable person working a regular, hard living can possibly hope to own a home, it feels like at times.
The facts are it's too damn expensive. Those are the facts, right? We have not built homes so that people can actually go afford homes. My plan, which you can see at rayformayor.com, goes through this. I'm going to put $12 billion into building truly affordable homes, including and especially home for elders. Since we have an aging population, we've not done that. There's a great project, which I encourage you to look at, called the Bronx Commons, 163rd and Melrose. 300 some odd units. Price goes from $225 a month to $1,999, the most you can spend for a 3-bedroom. They haven't ghettoized it. You got people who live on the same floor who are formerly homeless, where people can pay $1,999. They got a facility for elders. They got solar panels. They got a gymnasium, and they got a concert hall right there. And they also got restaurants. That's that to which we should aspire. So my plan is to not only build truly affordable homes, get people into homes, but also to give assistance for those people who want to own homes. People make up to $120,000 of what they call AMIs. It's going to be $120,000, $25,000. Give them the ability to get a down payment and help them manage through how they pay for their mortgage. So that's the kind of plan that I got in detail in my plan. I'm going to take care of the seniors, build deeply affordable housing from homelessness to home ownership, which is my plan, making certain I take care of the elders and making certain that we don't ghettoize our neighborhoods the way some of these things.
When you say ghettoize, what's that mean?
You know, I'll tell you what, it's like two different entrances, right? You know, you got the lower income people going one entrance and the higher income.
Oh, yeah, we've talked shit about that on the radio. We've clowned those people often.
So you can't do that, right? You got it. I'm going to be in the house. It's going to be affordable. It's going to be a neighborhood. Let's mix it up. Let's do it the right way. I'm going to make sure that our people who are lower income get the same opportunities those people who are higher income. That's what this is about. And you know what? People ask, how can I do this? 'Cause I've done it before. I got the receipts.
When you allocate new money to new things without raising taxes, something has to lose. How do you plan to do all of these things you say you're going to do, and what's going to come off the P&L?
So, you know, I've been managing P&Ls for longer than anybody else. I have managed at least 50 P&Ls. I stayed in my job for 13 years, longer than anybody else in the history of corporate America. I didn't say black. I said anybody else in the history of corporate America. Now, how do you manage this? First of all, you got to manage the $15 billion of avalanche of cash that we've just gotten from the federal government. Now, assuming that gets wasted this year, we're going to have a real problem because I got a $4 billion deficit in 23, 24, and 25, which means that the only way out of this is to grow. We can't cut our way out of this. We cannot.
So you got to make the bowl bigger. You got to make the economy bigger. You got to make the cup bigger. That's
all you can do. Because you know what? We didn't get involved when the cup was bigger. What you think? And people running for office don't understand how the budget works. You can't cut your way or tax your way out of this. Not happening. You got to grow your way out of this, which is why my economic plan, my largest, the greatest, most inclusive economic comeback plan in the history of Wall Street, 500,000 in the history of New York, 500,000 jobs, 50,000 jobs going to small businesses. I got to take care of the small businesses, right? Go big, go small, go forward. Go small as small businesses. 50,000 jobs. You can see the menu, just a couple. I'm going to take care of half of the wages for 1 year. Half the wages for 1 year. Help them keep New York City sales tax receipts for 1 year. Have a deputy mayor for small businesses to cut through the red tape with a red tape commission and a shot clock. And this is what I'm about. MWBEs, black and brown men and women businesses. In 2020, last year, the city spent $22.5 billion. MWBEs got 1.9, less than 5%. Most of them, 8 out of 10, got nothing, zero. So you need somebody who understands how the game is played to be in the room. I've been in the room when it happens. I know how to manage a budget. If I didn't manage a budget, I wouldn't have been there. And I managed 13 years of budgets. I know how to get a budget.
So you're telling me 1% of black and brown owned businesses got access to the grants and subsidies for them?
At probably most 1.9, less than 5% in total. Less than 5% in total. When you look at black and brown businesses, 8 out of 10 MWBEs got zero. 8 out of 10 got nothing. So who's on watch now? How's that working for you now? This
And
is a serious game out here, y'all. This ain't we can't be playing with this stuff. Our people's lives are on the line. Unless you get somebody in there, this shit it's messed up. Sorry, it's serious out here. Okay, this ain't no.
I like your passion.
You
get
cannot
my respect now. A little S-bomb now and then. That ain't gonna hurt nobody.
right.
Let's get real.
Part time. We sleeping on this stuff, man. Just because it's been that way, don't mean it got to be that way going forward. It don't have to be that way going forward. I'm not prepared to accept that, which is why I stepped out to do this.
Now the police are going to be working for you. They have continual problems getting the trust of the city back. I know there's work being done, but nobody believes it's going to stay progressive, positive. And there's every now and then, the police union does something stupid, like, endorse a presidential candidate that happens also to be a white supremacist racist. How do you plan on dealing with the police union, and how do you plan on dealing with the police commissioner? Are you going to have a civilian police commissioner? What's your plan here?
So my plan, first of all, we got to get the streets safe. We got to take care of the gun violence. We got to get the guns off the street, right? And we've been able to do that now. I got a lot of gun arrests relative to what we had last year. So we need to focus on that. I need to get the streets safe. And simultaneously, at the same time, I need to deal with the police, right? I want the police to protect me and not profile me. As a big 6'4", 200+ pound black man, I know what that's like. When I walk down the street, they have no idea who I am or what I do. If I put on a suit in a department store, I'm one of three things. I'm either men's suits, I'm where's the restroom, or I'm security. I'm not confused by that. It is where we are. So what do I want to do with policing? What I want to do, my plan is I'm going to have a deputy mayor for public safety, day-to-day interaction management of the NYPD. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to have chain of command accountability. One or more officers is involved in an infraction, the entire chain of command gets held responsible. Number three, because 4 to 5 of the 10 calls that go into 911 have to do with mental health issues, and that's growing even more, mental illness, I'm going to have a emergency social services office, CORE, that goes into that is in the precinct and in the subways with NYPD. Number four, I'm going to have the CCRB with full investigative authority. Rather than what it is today, take 48 days to review video cam footage, I'm going to have them do it in 48 hours. They get the complete file, they review the file, they make a recommendation to the NYPD commissioner, and then based on the commissioner's response, I may have to take additional action. But it's ultimately going to be accountable to me. Then what I want to do is I want to invest in the neighborhood. Summer jobs I've talked about. I got to invest in community centers. I went to the community center, and I know Mr. Jackson was in there. Everybody knew he was in there. So, stuff go down wrong, you get suspended. We need to have a safe place for our children to be able to go and grow up with safety and not be seduced by the gangs, right? So we need to have that. I'm going to invest in the cure of violence, the violence interrupters. Those people go and have their hands on the pulse of what's taking place. You got people like Erica Ford in Queens who've done this. We need to invest in places like that. We knew who the police were and they knew who we were. We need to return to that. And the other thing I need to do is to make sure that the decision makers in the precincts reflect the complexion of the precinct, meaning the precinct captains. When we move up, we need to apply things like the Rooney Rule. Something comes up, you got to make sure you got one of us included in that process. So I've looked at the entire transformation, restructuring of the NYPD, and what I'm intending to do is to restore that trust, which has been breached because none of the police who've done many of these acts have been held accountable. I want to have respect, accountability, and proportionality. Proportionality is, it's been said that if the only thing you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When it comes to black and brown communities, it's a sledgehammer. So I got to intervene to make sure that those people who are accountable are held accountable, so the neighborhood understands that they can't just get away with this. That's where the respect comes in. So I got to restore that respect by holding them accountable.
Ray Mack, you're saying some solid stuff today. Hopefully people are paying attention. We have ranked choice voting. So, look, I'm looking at candidates and we're talking about it every day. Laura, what do you think? You think Ray Mack here had a strong showing today?
I mean, yeah. You clarified a lot of things for us, and I'm just curious to see how the rest of the New Yorkers that are watching this interview are going to react.
I am. Listen, I'm in for New York, okay? It ain't, as I said, it ain't about me. This is about New York and making certain our best days, especially for our children, are ahead of us and not behind us, okay? Because this thing we're in quicksand now, and all the other people who've advertised and told you what they gonna do, ain't nothing happened. Look at where we are. Just look at this. Neighborhood gentrification. One of the largest areas of gentrification, Brooklyn. What's happening? High crime, Brooklyn. What's going down? Where are we? Education, where are we? We're going, it ain't working. Unless we get some transformative change here, it ain't gonna work. People, they telling us COVID just exposed stuff we already knew. That's what's up. Fact, 100%. We need a change. Vote to change.
Ray McGuire, Ray for mayor.
That's it. That's what's up. I'll see you on the court.
Yo, this guy. Yo,
Thank
look,
you,
and he
Ray.
got a cheat code because his son playing the NBA. So I know he stay ready. Ankles taped, everything.
You know I'm ready. You know I am ready, okay? Anybody want to go out there and get fired, get lit up? I don't care nothing about dropping 30, 40. Triple-double. You saw my man Harden last night. Triple-double. Let's get something done, okay?
Oh, you Brooklyn? You Brooklyn too? Brooklyn Nets. That's what you want to see?
I saw him last night do his thing. I'm respect his game. I saw they got 80-some-odd points between them. They ought to be showing up. That's a lot of money, okay?
Yeah, well said.
That's a lot of money. Okay?
Thank you, Ray.
All
Ray
right.
for mayor. Go check him out. Thank you for your time today. Good luck.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.